In 1952, the U.S. government established a unit for the systematic study of UFOs. Project Blue Book was the code name. This project was terminated in 1969. Their conclusion? UFOs don't exist. We know otherwise. In 2022, QNC developed Project Notebook for the systematic identification, investigation, and completion of unfinished objects, or UFOs. We will prove not only that UFOs exist, but that they can be finished. The truth is out there. Am I on? Well, let's see if I can save this patient here. Guess not. He's a goner anyway. Welcome to the bowels of Area 208 for our monthly UFO broadcast. Do you have a UFO problem? We all have UFO problems. Me more than most. Why, you say? Well, we have so many projects and so little time. Tonight, Agent A is off on assignment and will be coming in late. So, with Agent A away, Agent W can play. But I failed. And Agent K is laughing at me in the background.
I have to.
So, Agent A, Allison, would like to go over how to read or how to interpret patterns. Some of our patterns that we get are either very simplistic. Some of them are geared towards someone with a much more than basic knowledge of quilting. And some of them are very well thought out for people of all levels. The ones who are unable to read a pattern at a high level are left out. The ones who can read at a high level, they can read the dumbed down patterns. So why shouldn't we dumb them down to begin with? If you tuning in, if we have anybody, have any UFOs that you are tackling, let us know what you do or need assistance with, whether it be finding that perfect border fabric or interpretation of a not so good pattern. We're here to help. I've had to go through a few myself, and since I've only been doing this now for 5 years, I've come to be a little more knowledgeable than most. At least I would hope so, since I'm now teaching the beginner quilting class. I've had compliments on my patience, except for that one. He just didn't make it. I tried. I really did.
Try harder next time.
I may be able to save him, but not tonight. Let's see. In other news, we have started our Block of the Month Club, and one of the things that may be affecting you and causing you to have an unfinished object is sewing strips. If you have ever thought about the physics of your sewing machine, the presser foot rides along the top of your fabric and the feed dogs grab the bottom of the fabric. What this means is that there's friction on top and you begin to have a little bit of a pressure wave going down the length of your strips. If you sew all of your strips in the same direction, meaning that let's say you start with the uninterrupted uninked selvage. So most selvages have a little white edge, and the other edge has ink that goes all the way to the end. If all of your uninked selvages are on one end, and you sew from the uninked down to the inked, you will discover that your quilt has gone from square to wonk. No, it's a parallelogram. It's not rhombus.
Close enough.
No, 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 no. I was bad at geometry. You got a decent grade in geometry. You should know these.
Got a low C.
Oh, okay. We're in the same boat. I don't know what my grade was. It's been so long. The key to tackling that particular problem is to sew in one direction and then sew in the other direction. Now you can sew 2 strips and 2 strips and 2 strips, all going from the uninked selvage in one direction, and then turn around and sew those 2 together, starting from the opposite side and going from the inked to the uninked selvage. This will help straighten out your quilt. If you're ever doing a strip quilt that has, in this case, it is just a strip quilt. It is an entire jelly roll or strip pack that has been sewn together. And Allison will admit that she sewed in one direction the whole way, and when she placed it on the long arm, she couldn't square it up. She could not get it to be straight on the ends. Now, you can't tell because the wonderful applique sheep cover up any of those little flaws, but you won't have that issue if you just take the time to consider the direction of your strips. Now, this doesn't matter so much when you have a set of strips that you're going to cut, unless those strips are 7 or more, at which point you have the wonk, you begin cutting, and you chop off your angle on one side, you get to the other side, and now you don't have enough fabric left over because of the wonk. I'm not quite sure how to designate it as anything other than the wonk, or the cattywampus, the off-kilter. No, that's just me. I'm on kilter. I'm never on kilter. Seems odd to be on kilter. Oh, well, I am the kilted quilter, but I'm never on kilter. I'm the off-kilter kilted quilter. No, I just swallowed my tongue trying to say it. So as you can see, this is unscripted banter tonight. I don't know if we have any viewers, which may be a good thing, but then there are going to be people who have joined late or watching this later. And as you can see, I'm not all there. I am a mad scientist, which is better than an angry scientist. I don't know if they can hear you. That's why I'm trying to repeat some of what you say. Might as well. Allison's here. Mic up. Or Allison's not here. So the other thing that makes this an unfinished object is, as always, we're behind on binding. We, unfortunately, at Quilt and Code, make the tops so much quicker than we can bind the tops. It's the finishing step, and our binding expert has gone back to get educated and has abandoned us for the foreseeable future, or at least the next semester, and probably the next semester after that. So we will have a binding sesh sometime this fall, pairing up with Tulsi Rose. Spoke to her again today. She's very excited. We're going to do a bind and brew so that all of those unfinished objects can be finished, or at least you can come in, especially when the weather starts to get a little more chill, and you can wear your quilt while you stitch your binding. Binding in the middle of summer is one of those things that if you don't have temperature control,
it's a pain even when you do have temperature
it is
control.
a pain in my rather substantial backside. Allison really did have something to say.
Too bad she's not here.
Too bad she's not here. Yeah,
and this is our show now.
Right. So let's see what other unfinished. Well, one of the reasons I have an unfinished object that
didn't make it.
He hasn't made it yet. I'm actually doing this resection. What is the opposite of a dissection? An insection.
I don't think there is a reverse.
There has to be a suffix that says to.
I don't think the
I'm attempting to reanimate.
Sure. I don't think the die part is the thing. I don't think that's a suffix in that particular word. Because then it's just SSEX.
Oh, come on. English has got to have something.
English has no rules. You know this.
It's like being off kilter. There is no on kilter. And there's what do they call the disgruntled. There's no gruntled workers. There's only disgruntled workers. I can't remember ever being gruntled. But apparently, at some point in my life, I have been gruntled because I've never been disgruntled. Well, no, take that back. Yeah. I was disgruntled when they decided I was too efficient to continue to employ.
Yeah.
Makes no sense, you would think. But somebody needed to pad the books. I didn't pad the books. That said, I'm just wasting time now.
That's all we got.
We're going to put a little note in here of jump ahead to this time frame if you don't want to hear Will just fill the space with air.
Well, you have to be careful because if you go 7 seconds without saying anything, people lose interest. Oh, there it
goes. Poor little guy. I thought I hit an artery.
It looks way more like blood now.
Does
as soon as you smear the acrylic.
Nom, 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 nom.
Don't you dare.
It's child safe.
No. I feel like you still shouldn't. It's a bad idea.
The number of times that I, needed to take the tip of the paintbrush and I went.
I don't know why people do that.
It's kind of you keep the water next to you with acrylics and you try and do that, but there's a tendency, sort of in the same way that instead of just snipping your thread down to the place past the fray, you'll lick and twist. There's just this desire to immediately go to the wettest object you can think of.
Lovely.
Words of wisdom.
I don't have anything to contribute to UFOs because all my projects are UFOs, so it feels kind of redundant.
See.
I've got so many bindings I need to do.
Other than filming, why do I have UFOs? Well, we have so few hours in the day now.
I also got shop hop going. So
we've got shop hop going. I am front of the house manager. I am inventory control. I am
quality assurance,
advertising, and marketing specialist and janitor. Let's see, what else do I do? Yeah,
That's basically everything.
Oh, and now that Kai has gone, Agent K has gone back to school, I have become the plushie kit assembly manager. Speaking of plushie kits,
getting real good at that embroidery.
We have
machine.
an unfinished project that Kai needs to get to in the next week or so because the Chubby Cubby is coming up.
Yes.
What is the name of the?
What, Fat Bear Week?
No, the national park.
Katmai.
Katmai National Park will be
in Alaska.
Starting their Chubby Cubby at the end of this month, and then at the beginning of October they'll have Fat Bear Week, and for Fat Bear Week we will have brown bear kits available on our website, and our going price is $35, $34.99.
Pre-made brown bears by me will be available on my online website, and like 15% or 20%, I haven't decided yet, of those proceeds are going to Katmai to support them in their endeavors of conserving brown bears and keeping their environment.
There we go. And we have someone has just infiltrated Area 208.
I'm not dressed yet.
As they say off camera.
I'm in from the field.
There we go.
All right.
So I filled the time with.
Filled the time.
Yes, I filled the
Okay.
time. We lost a patient.
Oh no!
And
oh God! It was rough.
It was devastating.
It was rough.
And I mentioned
Yes.
that strip sets and the manner in which you are sewing them, throwing
Right.
your quilt off kilter.
Right.
The off kilter quilter.
This is like the theme of the month right now, is the strip quilts, because it is strip.
It is, yep.
Next Saturday. This Saturday
Mhm.
is
Project
Jelly Roll Day. So, sewing strip sets, I mean, sometimes it seems like it's super easy, but you're right. You can run into serious problems which will cause you to have a UFO, because then you don't know what to do with it. So I admit that was. So what do? I add applique.
And the new our new block of the month program that began with, if you've been following the Super Saturday and our Wicked Wednesday, have the first block is a 4 strip set that is then cut into the pattern. Those of you who have missed the block of the month, there's still time to join up. You pay $10 to enter the block of the month program and $5 for your block, and bring it in by next Super Saturday.
So, okay, but it's okay. So you're saying $5 for your first block?
Sign up.
No, it's
right?
$10 to sign up, and you get your first block.
Okay.
And then, since we've already done this month's, if you want to pay $5 to get this month's, then you get a whole quilt for $15.
Your next sign up opportunity will be next Super Saturday.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So my time frame's off, but my math's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't. Yeah. So those of you who have already signed up, as long as you bring your quilt block in.
Speaking of sign-ups, have you sent out your pattern yet?
Have I sent out the pattern for today? I just got here. I've been out in the field, dude. Been out in the field. So no, I haven't said. I will though, because I have 2 to send out to today. So I will get those out. Yeah. So it's exciting. It's anyway.
So you wanted to talk about reading patterns.
Right. So one of the problems that we have with UFOs is that all of a sudden you get to a point in the pattern where you just don't understand what the pattern is saying to you. And so what do you do then? Do you just quit? Put the quilt in the closet? Well, yeah, I do. But you don't have to. If you're having problems reading a pattern, then we're here for you. Area 208, we're here for you to help you to eliminate those UFOs. And if reading a pattern is part of it, then we were gonna. What I wanted to do was show this quilt behind us is the carriage house pattern, and I wanted to just go over a couple of things that might be a little confusing in any pattern. How is a pattern laid out? I know that we had a woman who was a part of our group, and I know that she was struggling with the pattern that we were using in the beginner in quilting class because she had a little bit of experience. And so reading the pattern that was so basic down, she was having problems with that. And so that can vary. Pattern designers vary from style to style. And so I know that as a brand new pattern designer, I'm having a great deal of difficulties. And that's part of the reason why we're doing the block of the month, is because I'm writing a pattern with each block of the month. And I'm hoping that you guys will give me feedback as to how to make those patterns more clear and easily to read. And so this pattern in particular is kind of interesting because the carriage house design, or the labyrinth here, by Carriage House Designs, back here it looks like it could be quite difficult. And at times, I know my mother struggled with the pattern. And so she has...
Can you put that up on screen, Kai?
Which one?
The
pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Pattern
The pattern
is
picture.
the Labyrinth by Carriage House Calico Carriage Quilt Designs.
Yeah, we've got the back of that saved.
Right. So we're going to get that up on the site for you so that you can see the pattern. And then some of the things are kind of difficult to read. One, whenever you're doing a pattern, especially like this one, where you have 7 different colors in the fabric. As you are picking out your fabrics, make sure you're labeling those. Because sometimes you get home and you realize that you only have 1/4 of a yard of one, and you thought that was going to be your border. And it requires 2.5 quarters. And so remember, when you're picking out your fabric, and we'll help you with this, take some stickies just to note that this is the pattern. That is like number 1. That will help you out tremendously. And then as I'm going in many, many quilts, right now I have one downstairs, and I'm literally labeling row 1, row 2, row 3. And I have been doing that since I started because I put some fabric upside down. And that drives me crazy when I'm working with directional fabric, that at that point I said, if I'm not ripping anymore, I am going to label everything. So label, 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 okay? So that's my first tip. So then another thing you need to worry about are sometimes they use things like WOF. WOF is width of fabric. And so I'm sure that somewhere in the pattern, it has a index, right? What's that called? Index, where it says,
or
with
appendix.
a WOF appendix that says WOF is width of fabric, LOF, length of fabric, SA, seam allowance. And normally in any quilting design, a seam allowance is going to be 1/4 of an inch unless they tell you otherwise. So these are just basic things. Now, we do have a pattern downstairs that's extremely confusing because it uses LOF. And length of fabric is something we do not use. But, right, I mean, Kyla's back there going, no way, I don't use length of fabric. Length of fabric is trying to get you long, long strips of fabric. It's often used in ombres, right? Where you have, I'm right?
Or your border fabrics.
Your border fabrics. They want length of fabric, okay? So if your border is 90 inches long, they want a single strip length of wise of your fabric that's 90 inches long. And that's what they mean by length of fabric. Not width of fabric. Width of fabric is your 42 inches. Okay, length of fabric is the other way. Let's see, some other things that might confuse you in patterns, especially in patterns like this one, are how to do your half square triangles. How to lay things out. What would be some other things in a pattern that would make people struggle? I mean, I'm having but that's my own fault. How many of us have changed the pattern because we wanted to do something different in that pattern, and now all of a sudden we've become confused?
And I can say, like, the diamond patch here, and the method by which they wanted that sewn, because it was not intuitive for me to have the 2 half square triangles then placed on top of each other and sewn again. I had personal issues about whether or not that was going to work, and it turned out I followed the instructions and it worked great, but my experience got in the way there. So in that case, you can try to anticipate things that the pattern maker is already explaining or just is not explaining away, because you follow what they do and everything's going to turn out great.
It's hard to take out your own experience from I think I'll do it better. Oh, I know how to do that. I'll just do it. And then all of a sudden the measurements don't line up. And then you put it into the closet.
This came from a manufacturer whose patterns I've had to read.
Right. Right. So I am still new at my patterns, and so I am like looking at those numbers over and over again. To me, they sound right. When somebody else does it, I didn't do something right, or I'm not explaining it clear enough, or that type of thing. And so we are here to help you read patterns, and most of the patterns in our shop we have done. Some of them we have not. They were either old or they're just brand new, and we just haven't gotten to them yet. But most of the patterns that we have in the shop, we are carrying patterns from people that we really enjoy, think they're easy patterns, that type of thing. So the pattern behind you, the one thing that Mom really struggled with was not necessarily pattern, although she was having some problems with a thing saying it should measure this, and it wasn't measuring that. And therefore, she was having some problems getting her points to line up. And so I will warn you with this particular pattern, it was hard for her to get some points lined up, although I can't see any of them. She probably could pick it right out. You know how we quilters are. Pick it right out.
I think the thing to remember as a rule of thumb is that if you are not cutting the end block down, then your 1/4 inch has to be as exact as you can get.
Yeah. And it's worth it. In a project like this, it is worth it to rip it out. And that can also cause UFOs, but it's worth it. You're going to, if that's what, ripping is a great evening activity in front of the television set. It gives you a reason to watch television without feeling guilty.
Especially if you want to wear thread the rest of the evening.
Right, exactly. I mean, and I wear thread all day long, so every day. So that's part of the job. Right. Yeah. Put your school back. That is what I wanted to talk about was, if you are having problems reading a pattern, we will do everything we can to help you to get that UFO done. And then I have a celebration before I move on and let you finish off everything. I finished.
I already finished
UFOs. I finished them. I got 2 bindings done this month. My bee quilt is bound, and the gnome and garden is bound, hanging at the church. That's how done it is. It is on display. And so that I'm over the moon that I got some projects done. The other thing I did was I've been putting off a young man who had a fire at his house. I am making him a quilt, and I have been promising I'd make him a quilt for 8 months. He's getting ready to move back into his new house, and I will have that quilt done because I finally got that started. And that's the one that I have ripped a little bit because I went upside down with his one fabric. And so that's okay. I am going to let you finish this thing off. Unless you...
I filled, we should have taken a time marker of when Allison showed up so that people could skip ahead.
Well, I'm sorry.
I should have just made a drink.
That bad, huh? I am sorry.
I might have been able to fill the time with more words had I done that.
Looks like you had fun while I was gone. I mean, like
A little bit.
a little bit. It looks like I'll have to go back and watch. So I will. Are we done then?
We're done.
Okay.
This will be a finished object.
UFO.
This video is now a finished object.
Thank you so
no
much.
longer a UFO.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're here every 13th of the month. If it's not Sunday.
Basically. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Share, and subscribe. Trying to get to 1,000 followers. So, and if you have any questions, please call us, email us, come in and see us. We'd love to see you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.